What is up, duelists? We're here with, you know him, you love him, it's Wren. What's
up?
So today, we've got something very special for you. So, you know Wren for the Fire Fist deck profile that they showed off from YCS Indianapolis, where they got first place. Today, we just want to show off something very cool. And what exactly is this? For a cool little format you've been trying to popularize.
Yeah, this is Raging Tempest format 2017 Zodiac. Or at least it's known for Zodiac. Historically, a lot of people conceptualized it as, yeah, you can play Zoo, or you could play Zoo. There's also Zoo. But like, looking back at it, there's a lot more decks that are viable. However, I will today be talking about Zoo.
Wow, surprise, surprise. So can you tell me exactly what era of Raid this is? Because this isn't exactly when Raging Tempest released, right?
Yes, this is YCS Prague and Guatemala format. This is Joshua Schmidt's YCS that he won with Paleo.
The Sacred 60, if you will.
Yes.
All right, well, would you like to show us what you've got here? Is this a standard build that was kind of for the time, or is this something a little bit different?
This is a little different. It's not like insanely teched out, but there are some card choices, like very significant card choice differences, and I will go over that.
All right, let's get into it.
All right, so first we have the Zoo engine. This is very standard to historical. 3 Rapier. I would play 12 if there were 12. 3 Whip. I would play 6 if there were 6. And then the 1 Thoroughblade. This is actually very standard for historical formats too. It's really just correct. The Ram is technically legal in this format, but we at this time don't really have the cards to make it work. Shock-a-Nine is a big one. And then the honorary Zoo, we have 1 Lunalight Black Sheep and its partner, Fusion Sub. This is the Fusion Sub combo, which I will be showing off the actual competitive version at the end of this. If you look at it up on YouTube right now, you get a lot of like, draw 5 off of 1 card combo. And it's like, that's not really what people did historically. Fusion Sub combo was very good, but to get the consistent competitive version, it was a bit simpler than that. So that's it for your Beast Warriors. Next up, we have our other guys, the Binguses themselves, the Speed Ride package, Triple Tarot Top, 1 Taka Tom board. This is a Furry rank 3, which can either bridge you into your Zodiac engine via MX Saber Invoker, or gets you access to Totem Bird, which is just a free spell trap negate. And that is it for your, like, summonable monsters. Next we have our hand trap lineup, consisting of 2 Maxi. It's at 2, so you play maximum copies. We play triple Ghost Ogre and triple DD Crow. Now this is not a standard lineup from the time. A lot of decks were not opting to play DD Crow. What they were opting to play instead was Flying Sea. If you don't know what that does, if your opponent like special summons, you can put it on their board and then they cannot exceed summon. That card is really good into exactly Zodiac. The issue is, coming from a more modern lens, Zodiac isn't the only deck worth playing. It's actually one of about 6 or 7 top decks, and then plus a bunch of row decks. And of those, only 1 actually cares about Flying Sea, which is exactly Zodiac, which also has outs to Flying Sea. So instead, we're electing to play DD Crow. DD Crow is good into almost every matchup universally, and it's also really good against Zoo. Being able to hit Rapier out of the graveyard puts you at that's a wild advantage. Like, playing a Rapier down is very difficult.
Yeah, we've been doing a lot of test games and just playing generally, and getting DD Crowed on Rapier when you go Tiger Mortar target Rapier has to be one of the worst feelings I've ever felt playing a historic format. Other than like just being blown out of the game.
Yeah.
Like it almost feels like a blowout without it being explicit, like, oh, I've heavy stormed for 5 or something like that.
Like, you have a chance to beat that, but like, like the second that happens, you immediately in a mode of I need to equalize and get rid of their rapier. That's how my win con.
Yeah, exactly.
After that, we have our spells. We have triple Bargay. Heckin' love Bargay.
Oh, yeah, there we go. Yeah, look at that.
Love
Wonderful
misprints.
misprint. Wonderful misprint. Big fan of that.
Yeah, this card, I mean, I feel like everyone knows what Barrage does. This card is insane. And then triple tanky, we are on Beast Warriors, I guess. Both of these are just, this is copies
1 million.
7 through 9 and 9 through 12 of Rapier. You'll get there. More starters than Snake Eyes. It's all good.
We don't need Ash where we're going.
There is no Ash in this format. No Blossom, no Snake Eyes.
No Snake Eye, no Ash, not a single one. Don't look it up.
It's true. There's no community note.
There's no community. You're so right.
For the rest of our spells, we have triple instant fusion. This was not a historical include in this specific version of the deck. There are versions that did play instant fusion. It really came in and out of the deck. The big reason it wasn't played in like Prague, Guatemala, was the fear that you would activate instant fusion, and then you would have no Norden left to do fusion sub with, because Norden is at 1 in this format. But you just put it back with Gusto Emerald, so who cares? This card is insane. It's just a free rank 4, which gets you into Broad Bowl, which gets you into Emerald, which gets you into whatever you want. Basically an honorary trap card. We have triple Twin Twister. This card is evil in this format. When a very solid board is Trident set 2 pass, it's just remove 2 interaction pieces. Very strong card. Next we have 1 Book of Moon. This card wasn't terribly popular historically, but just being able to book a piece of interaction is very nice. And then last but not least for our spells, we have Soul Charge. Drunk Rare.
That is in focus. That is just what it looks like. This is the drunk rare.
Max rarity. Inebriated Soul Charge.
Soul Charge.
I don't understand why this card was not really popular historically at all. This card is insane. I don't think we've ever drawn this card and if you see this card, your opponent needs very specific points of interaction to stop it, or you need to be super far ahead for it to not work.
Soul Charge Norden. That card, that's insane. That is just instant fusion from grave, basically. That's insane.
Yeah, and because of the specific way Zodiacs work, you can Soul Charge for your Xyz monsters and then just Zodiac on top of those, so you don't even need to make a rank 4. You can just, I'll bring back 2 Xyz monsters and go off with that. So that's it for your spells. Next we have our trap lineup. We have triple strike, 1 warning, and 1 combo. Maybe noticing something. There is no dimensional barrier in this deck. It's not even in the side deck. Dimensional Barrier historically was a very, very strong card. It was often seen as a blowout. There are 2 big issues in this format, though, when you look at it through a modern lens. First of all, like I've said before, Zodiac is definitely not the only thing worth playing. And other decks include what we believe to be the best deck of the format, Paleo Frog, especially 60-card Paleo. Zodiac Infernoid, which is mostly Infernoid. Zodiac's an engine in there that mills cards. It's not it's not Fusion Sub or anything. And then you have Invoked Wind Witch, Kaiju. You have Metal Foes, and you have Light Sworn. And you'll notice everything about those 5 decks is they don't care about Deep Barrier that much. It's fine. But at most it's really acting as an imperm to those. And then playing the Zoom Mirror, yes, you can stop your opponent from Xyz summoning, but you also turn off all of your guys, which means you're now sitting on La Jin Pass, which is not very good, especially because your opponent can now like all of your Zodiacs become 0/0s. And like they don't get whiptails banished, so your opponent can just like normal a guy and pop over your Trident, and like you now in a really awkward position, especially if you don't have another way to get combo started, which is like really awkward. It's not, I wouldn't really call it a bad card, but with how wide the format is, there are definitely other things you could be playing that are better, and like I don't think there's really room in the main deck for it. And like in the side, when you side in going first, there's a very much better card that you always side in going first over it, and we'll get to that. And then the only other thing I want to talk about in the main deck is I have debated on whether or not I wanted to combo for a bit now. Combo is very, very good in our grind game. The only issue is drawing it, which like it's not the worst card to draw, but it doesn't feel great. So that's like in consideration to be made. I also don't really know what I would cut for it. Like maybe you play 41. I don't know. It's just a consideration to keep in mind. After this, we'll move on to the extra deck. The Zodiac lineup is very standard. We have double Trident, double Broad Bowl, double Tiger Mortar, double Borbo. There's no real reason to change this. Like you might want like, there are games where you're like, I wish I had the third Trident, wish I had the third Tiger, but like, if you manage your resources well, like, either your opponent's in a similar position, so like it balances out, or you probably played wrong, to be honest. Or your opponent just had the cards to out your set, which like, that's Yu-Gi-Oh! So yeah, free Trident, Broad Bowl can never come back.
It's true, that card's fucked up.
Bro, the fucked up part about Broad Bowl is you can hard make Broad Bowl, search, put a guy on top of it, and then go back into Broad Bowl and search again. That's something.
No, that's insane. It's insane.
That's something you do in like, I've been doing it in ABC in this format, to search like 2 pen scales to then pen in ABC. It's like, and then you get Dryden on top of that. It's like, why? Next is a card played historically, not in this ratio, Triple Emerald. Historically, Zudex would play 2 Emerald, really. And the idea behind that is you can Emerald shuffle back Emerald, which is great. And very often the third Emerald might not come up. However, we have talked about DD Crow. DD Crow is a big one, where if you banish an Emerald out of the graveyard, or you like stop the second Emerald from shuffling and then out it, not having access to Emerald to put back your resources really sucks. There are also situations where you're like, I really need to make Emerald and not target Emerald, at which point you could still have the third one to fall back on. There are other options you could be playing, but like Castell can be in this slot, and it's like fine, but it doesn't come up all that often. A lot of times you make Castell, and you're like, out a guy, but like, why? Like, why do that when I can like extend my grind game in a whole extra turn with Emerald and get a free resource off of it? This card is just so fucking good. This card can never exist at more than 1 ever again. Like, this is wild. Like, the amount... Well, we've resolved Emerald so many times this weekend. It's insane.
And multiple times per turn.
Yes! I love drawing 4 cards.
It's awesome. I love Emerald.
And then that's it for the rank 4s. You'll notice no Gaga Samurai. I will talk about that in a second. For 3s are standard. Invoker, Totem Bird. We already talked about these cards. We don't really need to linger on them. Then for our last Xyz monster, we are playing number F0, Utopic Future. This card does a few things. The big one is it allows you to consolidate extra rank 4s to get them off the board. And in a way that gives you, like, at least something you can do. There are situations in certain grind games where we'll have a board of, like, an Emerald with no materials, and like a random Tiger Mortar, like very specifically Tiger Mortars often is, that like you needed to go into the Rat Peel combo again. But now you'll have like your Trident over here, and you know, some guy over here and you can't rat combo because you don't have enough zones. So like you kind of want to do this and get rid of both of them off of like a barrage or something, just to clear up space. And being able to like overlay these into these and then barrage pop the Utopic Future is like a play that does come up more. You can also just consolidate guys into Utopic Future. Its effect's not bad. If it attacks something, it can nothing will die and no one will take battle damage, and it'll just steal it until the end of the battle phase. This can be used to like force a Trident, because if your opponent like lets this attack go through, you'll take their Trident, and then in the battle phase you can pop something with their Trident and then attack their 0 attack Trident into something else, which is really fucked up because you just out a bunch of guys for free. So yeah, this card has its use cases. Historically, this slot was again Gagaga Samurai, and Gagaga Samurai was a card used to push for a bunch of damage. It's basically a 1900 attacker that can attack twice. There's a big issue with this line though, and it's that you're not making Emerald when you do that.
It also loses really hard to Ghost Ogre.
Yes, specifically because it loses so hard to Ghost Ogre. If you make Samurai instead of Emerald, not only are you not getting the cycle back of your resources, which, you know, if you make Emerald, the cycle back can't be stopped by Ghost Ogre. You can out the Emerald, but you can't stop the cycle. If you make Samurai, not only did you not make Emerald to cycle back your resources, putting you a turn behind on your grind game, but you also just don't get an effect. You just lose your guy, which really sucks. Like, you can really easily lose a game off of, like, a game you easily should have won off of making a Samurai and getting Ghost Ogre. And, like, yes, it allows you to end the game a little quicker, but if you just keep the grind game up, you'll eventually get there. So it's not, like, making an actual difference. You're just making the game go by a little faster, which, like, whatever, tell your opponent to scoop if they've lost. Hey, dog, you've lost.
Hey, it's over. Handshakes?
And then last card is Norden. I love Norden. Bring back the boy.
It's a really good take. Really good take.
I love Norden. This card, unironically, could come back. But yeah, Norden's broken in this part. I don't really think we need to talk about why Norden's broken in this format. But yeah, that's it for the main and the extra. We can go over the side real quick. The side's a bit fucked up because it's going to start with Triple Denko. This deck's Paleo matchup sucks. It blows. You can beat Paleo, but it really requires them to not resolve their spell cards. But because, like, they're only on 10 and 60, like, you don't want to play anti-spell to stop their spell cards because, like, they'll just slow roll you with them anyways. They'll set 5 and, like, they have ways to out back row with their trap cards. It's really hard to side against Paleo specifically in this matchup. It plays on such a weird axis. Like, every deck has had issues siding for Paleo. It feels... this is just kind of like the least bad thing. You kind of put your opponent on, you better have frogs or, like, an immediate response to this. So it's not great, but it's, like, the best option you have for Paleo. After that, that's the only monster in the side. For our sides for, like, the mirror or any zoo deck really are double Lullaby, 1 Minecon. Double Lullaby is really, like, you only want to see 1 in a match. You don't want, or 1 in a game. You don't really want to see multiples, the second one ever. And Minecon's just really broken. Minecon allows you to steal Trident. If your opponent left a rat under Trident and they forget to chain to detach it, they've really fucked up. But even then, you could take Trident, use its effect to pop, and then make Broad Bowl on top of it, and that'll get you into, like, your combos. Lullaby, historically, Lullaby was used to call Terror Shop almost exclusively, which I think is kind of wrong. I think there's plenty of times where you will call Terror Shop, but that's mainly because you want to make Totem Bird with it. If you don't have access to the zoo line and that's what you're trying to get with Lullaby, I think it's actually better to call Rapier. And this is for a couple of reasons. A, if they add it to your hand, yes, it'll take your normal, but you'll get your combo send, which is very important. B, it takes a Rapier out of your opponent's deck and puts it into their graveyard, which is actually quite fucked up.
We had a game earlier where I believe the game ended with one of your Rapiers in my hand because I lullabied, called Rat, and just never let it leave my hand. And you were just playing with it. Was basically like DD crowing, except instead of heading out your graveyard, I stole it from your deck before you could even do anything.
It was real fucked up.
It was really fucked up.
So, like, your opponent's put in this weird position where they don't want to put Rat on your board, but they also don't want to put it in your hand, which is lose-lose. It's literally, you know, Lullaby Call Ash and Snake Eyes. It's exactly what you're doing. There's, like, historically, people, were weirded out by calling Rat because, like, they thought you couldn't do Fusion sub-combo with your opponent's Rat. That's wrong. I don't know why people thought that. Honestly, I don't know why people, like, only call Tarot Top with this card. Calling Rat's insane. And that's it for the spells. Next up, we have Continuous Trap card Floodgates. Triple Imperial Iron Wall. This card beats Infernoid. That's really it. They can't summon their guys at all. They're, like, trying to... Like, they can... It's not an auto win against Infernoid. They do have outs. They can make Dryden, and, like, Decatron can... There's one Decatron send that gets there. So it's not an auto win, but it does, like, really slow them down, which in a match between two decks that want to grind, that's really important. And then we have Double Anti-Spell. A lot of people sided this in for Infernoid. I don't really like it into Infernoid. It's like, if they draw a handful of spells, it's great, but if they draw, like, requiring your opponent to draw a specific, like, half of their deck for your side cards to work, I don't think is great. However, this card is still in here because it auto-wins your Metal Foes matchup if you go first and draw it, and it's really good into Invoked. Slowing Invoke down a turn is fucked up. And it's only one turn if they draw Invocation, Alistair. If they have Meltdown, it's 2. If they have Terraforming, it's 3 turns. It's really fucked up. It also stops Kaiju Slumber in that matchup, which is really important. That card really hurts. And the last card in this deck is the better card than D-Barrier. It's Chain Disappearance. This card is fucked up. I think all day, this is, like, all weekend, this is the card that's overperformed so fucking hard.
By far, yeah.
I think every time, like, this card is resolved, it's, like, won the game on the spot. This is, like, the blowout card of the format. You might be thinking, yeah, it hits Zoo because you hit Rapier. If you hit Rapier, you almost automatically win. So, like, you don't need D-Barrier Call Exceeds to, like, fuck over your own guys. You just kill your opponent's entire deck all at once. And that's, like, not even for one turn. That's just for the entire game. You don't get rats to play with this game. But it's not the only matchup it's good against. Against Frog, this hits literally every Frog monster. It swap, it hits Ronin. Ronin's the big one. But you can hit any of them. So if you're multiples, you can hit them both. Against Infernoid, this card hits Decatron. It hits the Rat Piers. I think there's one other card it hits that's kind of fucked up. Against Invoked, it hits Alistair, which, you know, puts them in. You better find a way to get Invocation in the graveyard, which is not easy without Alistair's. Against Metal Foes, this card can hit some of the normals, but also it hits Bow Baboon, which is one of their main play starters. And then against Light Sworn, it hits something that I don't remember because I haven't looked at that deck in a while. But yeah, this card is fucking broken. Literally every time it resolved, it won the game. Fuck. I cannot believe people are not playing this card. Like, this card saw play historically, but it was not in every deck, and that's surprising. And that's it for the profile itself. And then real quick, let's do the Zodiac combo. This is going to be the combo in a can where your only combo piece is exactly Rapier. So in this hand, we're going to start by normal summoning Zodiac Rapier. I'm going to activate its effect to send combo to our graveyard. After this, we are immediately going to rank into Borbo. A lot of people historically here would now immediately go into Tiger Mortar. And the reason behind this is you don't have to detach the rat to use the shared rat effect to summon rat from deck. However, this plays way harder into Ghost Ogre because like you get like now in a fucked up position where like you just have like the guy but you've already gone into Tiger Mortar, which can really fuck you up because you do have like the other option of like you could go into like Broad Bowl into Tiger Mortar to finish out the rat combo, but like if you get ogred on the Tiger Mortar after making this, you're making Dryden pass. It's like really annoying. So you'll go Borbo here, detach. This will get us Rat Pew from deck, and then we will go for Tiger Mortar. Tiger Mortar is now going to detach and reattach Rat Pew. And then we will now immediately activate Tiger Mortar to detach Rat Pew. This has been dubbed the Rat Pew Shuffle. Let's go get Rat Pew here. After this, we are going to immediately summon Broad Bowl. Broad Bowl is going to detach the Tiger Mortar, and we are going to go get Lunalight Black Sheep to our hand. From here, we can activate Lunalight Black Sheep, sending it to from hand to graveyard to go get Fusion Substitute. From here, we will now make our first copy of Yugioh Emerald. And by first, I mean last. Historically, this combo went through 2 Emerald, but I do think the 2 Emerald version is like not as good as the 1 Emerald version. And I'll explain that in a second. From here, we'll detach Rat. We'll go into our deck here. We'll shuffle back Rat, and normally here you'll go Tiger Mortar if you started with Rat. If you started with Terrortop specifically, when you go through MX Saber Invoker, you will detach Takatomborg to put that back instead. For 2 reasons. One, if you have another like Terrortop eventually, you'll get a second use out of that to go into Totem Bird. But it'll also keep Tiger Mortar in your graveyard to contribute to zoo names to activate combo later. So we'll put that back, we'll put these back into deck, and we will draw 1 card. From here, we will now activate this copy of Fusion Substitute, fusing together our Broad Bowl and our Emerald to summon Norden. This will allow us to activate the Norden effect. This will special back Zodiac Rat Pier. From here, we're simply going to overlay these 2 into the second copy of Broad Bowl. Now, this is where this combo is going to diverge a little bit from what was done historically. Historically, what people would do here is they would activate Broad Bowl to detach Norden to special rat from another Zodiac Rat Pew from deck again. From there, they would go into Dryden. Dryden detach the rat to special another rat to make Emerald, and then Emerald would shuffle back Emerald plus double Rat Pew to get 1 draw. So this would end on 2 draws plus a Dryden. However, I believe it is slightly better to then activate Broad Bowl to search. And here you're going to search Whiptail. Whiptail does a couple of things here. First of all, the search is the same amount of card advantage if you just drew a card. But this allows you to get specifically Whiptail. And what Whiptail does is it makes it very hard for people to out Dryden by crashing into it. Because if they normal summon a guy to then crash it into Dryden, and you chain Whiptail to the attack deck, their guy will get banished too. Which means they now have another way to put guys on board to go through whatever combo for whatever deck they're playing. If they're playing Zoo, that's very dangerous, unless they have like Barrage exactly. So we're gonna go for the Whiptail. This also does another thing, is it allows us to keep the Rat Pew under the Dryden. If you just go through the historic combo, you're gonna end up with like just the Broad Bowl under the Dryden, which still gives you your pop. However, if you can bait the pop, you've basically outed the Dryden. There's no real reason to force the Dryden unless your opponent's like on nothing and you want to cut. Like if your opponent's on nothing, you can cut them off of zoos completely. But by keeping the Rat Pew here, I am threatening an entire Zodiac combo next turn, which forces your opponent to get rid of the Dryden. They have to get the Dryden off the board. Just baiting the pop is not enough. So with that in mind, we are now going to overlay these, go into Trident. From here, the last thing we will do is we will activate our Fusion Sub in Graveyard. We will banish Fusion Sub. We will put Norden back in our extra deck, and we will draw a second mystery card. So this combo is a Search for a Whiptail, 2 draws, and a Trident. And that's the whole combo. That was what people thought was 2-0 in 2017. I think people at that time were a bit silly. And that's it.
I mean, it's good. Like this ends with what 6 cards in hand, right? It's a 1-card combo. You get 3, so you end up with 6 cards in hand. Like it's clearly good because if you draw well in terms of non-engine, that is strong. However, Paleo doesn't really care too much in a lot of instances. I will say, having played a lot of the mirror, Zoo mirrors are so much fun. They're incredibly skill intensive. There can be games where you just draw too much engine or too much non-engine, but that's no different than modern, honestly. This sort of gameplay though is just very unique, very fun, very interesting to navigate. Even through there've been some very fun games even where like chain disappears has been resolved, and navigating that game state, and it usually wins the game on the spot. However, it's almost always like, well, if you only resolve chain disappearance, you have no other interaction, you're not guaranteed to win. It's very possible you can still lose. Well, and so then can you use your interaction correctly from there?
Like, chain disappearance can win the game on its own, but only if you play correctly for the whole rest of the game. Like, this is very much a format where one mistake can cost you a game, even from an extreme winning position. Like, you never quite... It's a weird mix of, like, you never quite feel like you're entirely out of a game, but you also never quite feel like you're entirely in it either. It's also balanced by the fact that you know your opponent's across the table in the exact same position of, damn, I really need to, like, get this line and I need to do it correctly. And I think if you, it's really fun. It's very skill intensive. I think the skill, floor is a little bit higher than a lot of formats, but the skill ceiling is through the fucking roof. This format is super fun. The turn 1 is a little linear for Zoo, but literally everything after that is all freestyle. It's what can I piece together with exactly the tools I have? And every single game plays out differently.
It really just feels like, to hammer home what you said, it feels like the entire game is on a knife's edge, and the smallest mistake tips you over. And if you're interested in seeing some gameplay of a Zoo mirror, we did film a mirror earlier. It was a ton of fun. It was really tight. Went all the way to game 3. Won't spoil who won. Won't spoil how it went. But it was so fun. It was a blast to play. I cannot wait to edit it down and show it to you all. At very least, I think that this format has potential. Maybe... I think it has potential in the breadth of the different decks that are in the format, but honestly, I think rocking up to a Time Wizard pod of 8 Zoo mirrors would be so fun. I am very tempted to just go build 8 copies of this deck, almost card for card, and just run it.
There was a game we played yesterday where, you chain disappearance me turn 1, and I still took it all the way to turn 8 or something, just going through Whiptails and Thoroughblade.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was crazy. All right, well, is there anything else you'd like to say before we close?
Try right format. This is my favorite format of all time. I absolutely love it. Would love to see more people playing it.
And it's cheap. This deck, even in nice rarities, is very cheap. I think I built this for $50.
Oh, and especially with Max C's getting reprinted, that was half of the price of decks. I built this exact list ×2. I built this deck twice, and it cost me about $120 for both decks, and about 60 of that was Max C, 4 copies. So with Max C getting a reprint finally, that'll go way down. You can build this deck for $40.
Yeah, Max C is already $10 a copy, I think, right now at Common, and it's only going to go down once we actually get the reprint in November. So very much worth checking it out. Thank you so much to Wren for showing up again, and once again kind of bringing up a very cool historic format and innovating in small little ways to make it just really interesting and fun to play. So thank you very much, Wren, for being here. Make sure to go check out that gameplay video wherever it is. And thanks for watching. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.